video, we've just done our graphs. Going to move on to solving equations, changing the subject, and maybe some Pythagoras as well. So solve the equations. This is a two-step solve. I'm going to move over to this side. I'll get a wee bit of space. Okay, so 3y plus 7 is equal to negative 2. So let's say 3y plus 7 is equal to negative 2. Now what you want to have is your letter on one side and a number on the other side. The thing you also need to remember is that an equal sign is a bit like a balance. Okay, it's a bit like a seesaw. And what you do to one side, you have to do to the other, otherwise the seesaw becomes imbalanced and we're going to fall off. Okay, so if I add a person to this side, I need to make sure I add a person to this side. These are like people with obviously one leg and no arms. Right? Not an artist, right? I'm not an artist. Okay. So what you do to one side, you have to do to the other, otherwise the equation becomes imbalanced. That's the first thing to know. The second thing is the order you do things. Now it's a bit like wrapping a present. We're trying to get to the Y, that's the present. So we're going to start on the outside and work our way in. Okay? It's almost like BOMDAS in reverse as well. So BOMDAS or BIDMAS or BODMAS, whatever you call it. But instead of going this way, we're going to go the other way, doing the opposite to what we're used to doing. Okay? So we'll start with our adds and subtracts and then go on to multiply and divides. Okay? So for this one, we're going to move the 7 first. Now I'm going to do what's called, well actually, there's two ways to do it. I like a working line because it's nice and neat. So what I do is I write over here what I'm doing to both sides. I'm taking away 7 from both sides. So if I take away 7 from this side, I'm left with 3y. And then if I take away 7 on this side, I'm left with negative 9. And some people like to physically write negative 7 on this side and negative 7 on that side. That's fine. You can do that. Next thing I have to do is divide both sides by 3. Because if I divide this side by 3 and this side by 3, and that's why I like the working line, because you see it's already getting messy. Okay. This would cancel to give me 1, which is what I've got down here. And negative 9 divided by 3 is going to give me negative 3. Don't worry about negatives. Ignore the negatives. Do the number. 9 divided by 3, we can do that. And then think about the negative. So you get a negative divided by a positive. That's going to give you a negative. And that's us solved it. Okay, simple as that. 2 steps. So let's try the next one. 2x plus 5 is equal to 9. So 2x plus 5 is equal to 9. So same thing again. I'm going to move the 5 over first, and then I'm going to move the 2 over, because we're doing BODMAS in reverse. So how do I move the 5 over? What's the opposite of plus 5? It's negative 5. Okay, I'll put that in blue. So take 5 away from both sides. So I'm left with 2x and 0. Because plus 5 take away 5 is 0. And then 9 take away 5 is 4. How do I move the 2 over? What's the opposite of 2 times x? It's divide by 2. So don't forget that the 2 next to this x, it's like saying 2 times x, but it's just shorthand. You know, we're lazy mathematicians, we don't want to write out 2 times x, so that's how we decided to write it. That's our convention, as you would call it. Okay, so this is 2 times. The opposite of times is divide, so we're doing divide by 2. So that's going to give me x is equal to 2. And if I was to draw this in over here, it would look like the divide by 2, cancel to give 1. But you don't need to put that. Let's just do another one. Let's do 3x take away 7 is equal to negative 1. So 3x take away 7 is equal to negative 1. What I do to both sides, I'm going to add 7. So that's 3x is equal to 6. And then how do I get rid of the 3? Well, I divide by 3. It's going to give me x is equal to 2. So for solving equations, remember you're doing, well, remember the order. We're doing BODMAS and we're doing it in reverse. So let's see if I can move this over. So we're doing BODMAS and we're doing it in reverse. So we do the add and subtract first and then a multiply and divide. And remember, you're doing the opposite to what's on the page because you're trying to undo it. So, you know, this first example, you can imagine that as 7 people on here. How do I get rid of those 7 people? Well, I'll take 7 off. But I need to do the same on this side to balance out. So BODMAS in reverse and doing the opposite is the two most important rules there. Okay. Good stuff. Changing the subject is very, very similar. In fact, it's almost exactly the same, except you just won't end up with a numerical answer at the end. So let me see if I can just snip a few of these. I'll just give myself some blank paper somewhere. So C is equal to D over X. Let's make X the subject. Now, whenever you see a fraction like this, the best thing to do is always multiply by the denominator, and that will get your fraction undone. Okay? So this is a divide by X. So how do I get rid of that? Well, I want to times both sides by X. So I'm going to end up with Cx is equal to D times X divided by X. So all I've done there is I've times both sides by X. But on this side on the right, those two X's will cancel and give me 1. So I'm simply left with Cx is equal to D. So see here, I wanted to get X on its own. Sorry, I'm trying to get X on its own. So the next step is to then divide by C, because I'm doing C times. So I divide both sides by C. So I'm going to end up with Cx divided by C is equal to D divided by C. These C's cancel out and give me 1. So I'm simply left with X is equal to D over C. And you can actually look and see that that's basically just swapped, isn't it? D over C is equal to X. You know, we've just switched these two numbers around. But to do it properly, that's what we're doing. So we started off by saying we've got a fraction with a denominator of X. So the best thing to do to make things simple is to multiply both sides by that denominator, which was X. So we put an X up here because we times this side by X, and then we times this side by X. These X's cancel. We're left with this. We want to get X on its own, so now I have to divide both sides by C to get rid of this C. Simple. Let's try another one. Let's make T the subject here. So very simple to what we did last time. We're going to be moving over the 5 and then moving over the 2 because we're doing BODMAS in reverse. So how do I get rid of plus 5? Well, I take away 5 from both sides. So it's going to give me Y, take away 5. Because plus 5 take away 5 gives me 0 on this side, and then it pops it on that side. I've now got 2 times T. How do I get rid of 2 times? The opposite of times is divide. So T is equal to Y, take away 5, divided by 2. Simple. So that's actually very, very close to what we did above. We hadn't really done an example like this before, but this is very close to what we did before. C, same again. I've got a P on the denominator, so let's times both sides by P. And that helps me get rid of it. Fantastic. So now I can say the P's cancel, give me 1. So then it's CP is equal to 2. Just to be correct, I'm just going to write my little 1 up here. P divided by P is 1, and then it's 2 times 1 is 2. And then I want to get rid of the C, so I'm going to divide both sides by C. So it means on this side, that becomes 1. And I'm left with P is equal to 2 divided by C. So very similar to the first example there. So multiplying by your denominator, and then dividing by the letter you don't want. And very last, let's make Z the subject on this one. So we'll start with this bit last. We're doing the multiplying last because we're doing BODMAS in reverse. So we want to get rid of the 4. Because you could rewrite that, couldn't you, as YZ plus 4. So it's almost exactly the same as these questions. So we'll do this bit last, and we'll get rid of the 4 first. Okay. How do I get rid of the 4 first? Take away 4 from both sides. So Y take away 4 is equal to YZ. And if I want to make Z the subject, I need to now do the opposite of the Y times. So that's dividing both sides by Y. Divide by Y is equal to Z. And that is really everything we need to know about changing the subject. Everything else is very much the same as that. You can see probably the only tricky question I think maybe this last one. A equals 1, take away 6z. I don't know you'll get that. I'll just do it anyway. So A is equal to 1, take away 6z, and I want to make z the subject. First thing you could do is make your life quite simple. You can add 6z to both sides. So you get A plus 6z is equal to 1. So that just gets rid of your negative there. You could do that. And now you could say, okay, I want to get rid of this 9. What's the opposite of plus 9? Let's take away 9. If I take away 9, I'm going to get negative 8 over here. If I take away 9 from this side, it disappears. 1 take away 9 is negative 8. And then how do I get rid of 6 times z? Well, I'm going to do divide. Divide both sides by 6. 6's will cancel on this side. I'm going to get z is equal to negative 8 divided by 6. Simple as that. I don't think you'll get anything as tricky as that, to be fair. I'm just going to check I've written that question down correctly. Yeah, I think that's more of a solve actually, isn't it? For making z the subject. Oh no, sorry, was that an A over there? Oh, did I write? Oh yeah, I did write it. Oh, sorry. Oh, forget that. I have, forget that last example. I've then called that a 9. Sorry. Oh, look at that. I did think that was a bit odd. Whoops, sorry. So cancel that. So it's A to, plus 6z. Forget all that. Whoops, never mind. Delete. So adding 6z to both sides. And then I want to make z the subject. So I'm taking away A, not 9. So 6z is going to be equal to 1 take away A. Because if I take away from this side, it disappears. That pops up over here as take away A. And then to get rid of 6 times, I'm doing 6 divide all. Whoops, and daisies. Okay, but that's the only tricky thing you could maybe get, is to set yourself up and give yourself a nice positive z. You would add 6z to both sides just to make your life a little bit easier. Okay, you could also have taken away the 1 and then divided by negative 6. You could do that, but this looks a lot neater, I would say. Okay, so yeah, thanks for listening. Hope that was helpful.